Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon once again. We have 12 people on the call now, so I think we can start. We can start the class. You're welcome, everybody. So today we'll be having our antenatal class. Normally, we usually have it in the morning around 10 a.m., but today is a special day. We are having a dietitian in our midst, Mr. Anthony. He's going to be taking us through the topic nutrition in pregnancy. He has about 10 years of experience as a dietitian. So he's going to be using his wealth of knowledge and experience in that field to give us relevant information about nutrition in pregnancy and to answer all the questions that I know we already have written down. So please get your notepad, get your pen, and be attentive. It's going to be very interesting and you're going to like it. Thank you for coming, everybody. So I'll be handing over to Mr. Anthony to take over from here. You're welcome, Mr. Anthony.
All right, thank you, and good afternoon, everybody, and our mothers, wonderful expectant mothers. My name is Dietitian Anthony, a registered dietitian, a licensed dietitian, and a member of Nutrition Society of Nigeria. So today is a wonderful day, and I'm delighted to be speaking to you from the angle of what we are supposed to be eating and what we are not supposed to be eating as a pregnant woman. So please give me your attention, stay glued to your screen while we learn, unlearn, and also relearn the things that you knew. And then feel free to ask me any question you like. And then the question is about nutrition that concerns what you should be eating during pregnancy. Okay, so let me go straight to why we are supposed to even treat this topic. Why is it important? So please, I want to believe that everybody is hearing me. Give me an hour of your time, and then we are going to learn a lot for today. Okay, so the topic today is healthy eating during pregnancy. Healthy eating during pregnancy. Now, I said that during pregnancy, proper nutrition is essential for the health of both the mother and the developing baby. Now, don't forget that you are pregnant. So anything you are eating is not just for you. It is for you and the fetus that is inside of you, which is the developing baby. Now, I hear a lot of mothers say, please, you give me that rice, 2 plates, I'm pregnant, I'm eating for 2. Yes, a lot of mothers say now when they come to the hospital, they meet a dietitian. Nowadays, I normally eat a lot more than what I normally used to eat. Yes, more than what I normally used to eat. I eat a lot, and thank God I can now eat. But then, nutrition during pregnancy does not actually mean that you need to increase the amount of food or number of plates that you normally used to eat. No, that's not the truth. It is actually proper nutrition. It is the proper nutrition, the adequate thing that you're supposed to eat. Eating for 2 is you are taking the nutrient that is very essential for you as a pregnant mother and also for the developing baby. That's why I said it is very proper for the health of both the mother, which you are the one, and the developing baby. Now, the mother's diet must provide enough energy and nutrients to support the fetus. I've just said that, and then it changes in her own body, which prepares her for breastfeeding. Don't forget, after this day, once you put to bed, which is the postpartum, once you put to bed, the next thing is for you to commence breastfeeding. To commence breastfeeding. So adequately, definitely is going to affect both you and the baby, and that's not our prayer. Okay, so let's go down to the goal of healthy eating during pregnancy. You know, we have what we want to achieve. What are the goals that we want to achieve? Why is it so necessary that you should take precaution of whatever you put in your mouth because of the baby that you are expecting? Number one is that so that you have a live and a healthy baby, not just a live baby. There are some babies that you have and they are not healthy, which is a problem. Which is a problem to you first, even before the father, because there is this stigma. If a baby is not healthy, maybe a baby is born maybe preterm, and if the baby is born preterm, of course, you know that's more expenses to the family, and it's going to affect the economy of the family. So you need to be careful, watchful for whatever you eat, so that you have a life. What does that mean? So that your baby will live, and then secondly, that baby is healthy enough for you. Okay. Sorry, let me. Okay. Now, no, we are not talking about the importance. We are talking about the goal. We are talking about the goal. After the goals, I'm going to come to the important. So B there, that's number 2, is a baby weighing at least 2.5 kg and more. Now, WHO have said, that is World Health Organization, they have said that a baby that is put to bed should not weigh less than, it should not be less than 2.5 kg. It should not weigh less than 2.5 kg. And then being it more is good enough, but it should not be more than 4 kg. The baby is more than 4 kg by weight, there is an issue. And of course, I don't think that baby it might be 2 CS if the baby is big enough, if the baby is more than 4 kg. So, but what we are saying is that the baby should not be less than 2.5 kg. And this is one of the goals, that makes you to think when you are pregnant. And then what are you thinking about is what we are eating. Now, the third one is so that the mother, which is you, we are going to return to pre-pregnancy status. Now, what is pre-pregnancy status? Before you were pregnant, you know, you had a very good shape, you had this curvy shape, you know, a guy will look at you and be like, oh, thank God, I married a very beautiful wife. You know, that status that a guy is looking at you and is admiring his money that is spent, while status that you will have to return to, get admired not just by your other, by any other person around you. So that's why you need to, you know, be conscious of what you eat, know what you eat, and know what you are not supposed to eat whenever you are pregnant. And then we are talking about some routine checks that are vital. Yes, there are some routine checks that when you are pregnant, for some of you that go, of course, it's everybody that is supposed to go to the hospital now whenever you are pregnant for antenatal, so that you go and then the times to your blood pressure, they assess your PCV, you know, and then they assess your glucose level. So you know if there is a gestational diabetes, if you are diabetic, so that all of this routine will be put in check. All of this will put in check. So that's why I mentioned, and then you get some routine checks that are also vital. Now let's go to the importance of good nutrition in pregnancy. The importance of good nutrition in pregnancy. Yes. Number 1 there is that it supports healthy fetal development. What do I mean by that? You know, there's a fetus in you. A baby that is not yet born is called a fetus. It's in you. So now, for nutrition in pregnancy, it supports that healthy development. Okay, so it supports that healthy fetal development. And then this fetal development, there are the organs. You know, organs like the kidney, like the liver, like the heart, all of these are organs that are being developed when you are eating properly, when you are eating what you are supposed to be eating. And then the brain development too, you know, the brain gets developed, you know, and then the bone Of course, you know the baby start development in the stomach, or in the stomach. So the bones are being developed, the organs are being developed, and then the brain is being developed too. And then the second importance of this bone nutrition that we are actually talking about is that it maintains maternal health and prevents deficiencies. You know, when you know what you eat, you will not be deficient of any macronutrient or micronutrient. For example, is iron. You know, iron is actually what you are not supposed to be deficient in. So when you are eating, you need to be eating. I'm going to mention all of this. I'm going to mention it before the end of this lecture or this seminar. You are going to know what you are supposed to be eating, the sources of this food that are healthy enough for you. But we are talking about the importance of this good nutrition in pregnancy. And then we talk about that it reduces the risk of pregnancy complications. Yes, there are complications that come with pregnancy, like anemia. You know, when you go and then they say, oh, your PCV, that's the fat cell volume. It's not adequate. You know, we have a range of PCV that you are supposed to have when you are normal and then when you are pregnant. Don't forget that when you put to bed, there's actually enough loss of blood. So what you need to do when you go to the hospital for what they do, they check your PCV, they check your iron content, and then this iron content is what I'm so concerned about. You don't need to be on maybe blood transfusion before you can actually have enough blood. This is the right time when you know what to eat, that is going to provide you with enough of blood that whenever you go to the theater, no matter the volume of blood you do, you'll come out, have a live baby, healthy baby, and you too, you are healthy. And then you talk of preterm. Preterm birth is actually when a baby is put to bed before 36 months, you know, before the expectant time. That's actually a preterm baby. And then low birth weight, I've said before, a birth weight that is less than 2.5 kg. And then the fourth one, yes, 1, 2, 3, that's the fourth one. It prepares the mother's baby for lactation. That's actually breastfeeding. You know, whenever you're pregnant, there are hormonal changes. The hormones changes, and there are so many imbalances in your system. It's actually a hormone that helps in the secretion of breast milk. When you know what you are eating, eat it adequately, and what you're not supposed to eat, this hormone secretes, and then breast milk is actually being put in place in preparation for the baby that is actually coming. This is one of the importance of good nutrition in pregnancy. Okay, now the next thing we are going to talk about is nutrient of importance during pregnancy. Nutrient of importance during pregnancy. Of course, we have a lot of nutrients that you are supposed to consume, but probably you were consuming them when you were not pregnant, or when you were just on you know, or when you are actually preparing a family food. There are nutrients that are important for the family, or for you as an adult, or for a baby, for an adolescent, or for an adult. There are nutrients of importance to each of these groups of people. But now, for a pregnant mother, there are certain nutrients that you are supposed to take. Yeah, that are very, very compulsory, that are very, very essential. Not because maybe you want them, but because it is necessary for you at that particular point, at that particular stage. So one of them is protein. Now, why should we take protein? If you look at the slide, it builds fetal tissue. It builds fetal tissue. And the placental maternal blood, we have placenta. Of course, you know that the baby is actually connected to the mom using the placenta. So once the mother is eating enough, is eating what is good enough, the placenta is being built up, you know, the juice in the body of this fetus is actually being built up. And then it's also, this protein also is good for the blood of the mother. That's why we say maternal blood. And then we talk about amniotic fluid. Amniotic fluid, you know, protein helps to build up the amniotic. What is this amniotic fluid? It's actually like a watery substance that is in between the baby or the fetus and the mother inside the stomach.
You are muted, Mr. Anthony.
Can you hear me?
We can now.
Okay. So where did you stop hearing me so I know where to start from?
We're still talking about protein, how it helps the development to build amniotic fluid. I think that's what I heard.
Okay, that's fine. So we are still in protein, and I'm mentioning the necessary requirements for protein. Why is it important? And then if you go down the line, you are going to see the sources of this protein that I'm actually talking about. Now, when I say you should consume protein, it is not all sources of protein that you should consume. You see where I have listed them. If after the lectures you don't understand any of them, you can actually ask your question or draw my attention. I'm going to explain more. The lean meat that we are talking about here is that part of the meat that doesn't contain fats. You know, that part of the meat that doesn't contain fat, that's what we call lean meat. And then we talk about poultry. Poultry is actually, you know, when you talk about poultry is not just chicken. We have ducks. Some people call it a fowl. Some people we have several birds. Some persons can actually eat pigeon. Yes, all of these are under poultry. And then we have turkey. Yeah, turkey is also in this poultry. But then, as a pregnant mother, let me lay emphasis on this poultry, so that you not say tomorrow a dietitian recommended poultry for you. Like I said earlier, poultry contains the chicken are there, the ducks are there, the turkey they are there under this poultry. But as a pregnant woman, as an adult, you are supposed to consume the chicken or the dog or the turkey without skin. What do you mean? Are you serious? Yes. Now, what you do whenever you want to eat any of this poultry, you remove the skin. Yes, you remove the skin of any of these poultry that I just mentioned, and then you eat the flesh. Why? The reason is this: all animals store their fat in the skin, and that is why if you want to eat chicken, for an example, you of a chicken, remove the skin. If you remove it like this in your hand, squeeze it. Of course, once you squeeze it, you know what you see. Now, once you squeeze it, and then of course there's going to be deposit of oil. There are going to be deposit of oil. Now keep that oil for 1 hour. 1 hour is really too much. For 30 minutes. What are you going to see? You are going to see that fat has clotted. Now let's imagine that you took that chicken with the skin inside of you. What is going to happen to your system inside of you? Of course, the fat is going to clot, and that is going to give rise to what we call cholesterol. Okay, so let's talk about fish. Fish are healthy enough for you to take. But then, as time goes on, I'm going to mention the types of fish that you are not supposed to eat. But then fish is good enough, and then the eggs is good enough. When I talk about eggs, it's not just of course we have so many birds that lay eggs, not just chicken. We have dogs too. Even turkey, they lay eggs. So they're actually good enough for you to consume. But then these eggs is still going to be prescribed by a dietitian so that you will not eat more. Of course, you know eggs contain cholesterol too. And then legumes are actually cereals too, like the beans, like the oats, all of it fall under legumes. And then nuts. Don't forget we are saying protein. All of this provides protein. Nuts. What are nuts? The granules that the walnut and any other nut that you can actually think of, they are healthy enough. And then dairy. This dairy falls under milk. For this dairy, since I've talked about milk, milk is actually a good source of protein. So let me lay emphasis on this dairy product, which is actually milk. Now, for the milk that that is good enough for a pregnant woman to consume, I'm not going to mention any brand. I'm not mentioning any brand. But when you go to the supermarket, tell them that SKIM. The supermarkets, they know what to give you. Tell them you're looking for a skim milk of any brand, they will actually give it to you. Why? Because this skim milk, they contain low of fat and low of cholesterol. We have so many types of milk, but I'm not into that. We have the evaporated milk, we have the cream, but for what I'm saying, we also have the creamless combination of so many things in one. And I believe you know all of them. So what you watch, the milk that you take that is good enough for you is skim milk of any brand. Okay, so let's go to iron. And iron actually prevents anemia. Yes, it prevents anemia because any food that you eat that contains iron actually helps in the production of red blood cells. Production of these red blood cells actually help in the production of iron, which helps in the blood building. And then it also supports increased blood volume. Like I said, once you have enough blood that you've taken from food iron, you can see me because and then they will see what I'm holding. Can anybody see me and see what I'm holding? Hello?
Yes, I can.
Yes. Can anybody see me and see what I'm holding? I want to be sure what I'm holding. What is it?
Yes, sir.
One person just said on red plantain. Another person. Say what you see. Oh. Is there only one person that can see?
You are holding an right plantain, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Now, I was much younger. I was told that iron on red plantain contains iron. That once you eat it, you are actually consuming enough iron. And guess what? Most of us that are boys, whenever we eat on red plantain, we feel enough iron in our system at that moment. We feel like fighting. And then we look for anybody that we want to fight because we have iron. We've consumed blood. But then, please, take it from a dietitian that plantain is actually a high carbohydrate food. I am not saying that plantain is not good for consumption. But when you have plantain, know that you are consuming carbohydrates. Plantain actually contains less than 2 mg in per 100 grams of it. What do I mean by that? Plantain contains very low amount of iron. So if you are eating plantain, eat it with the mindset that it is providing you carbohydrate and not iron. That is what I wanted to say about iron. That's because I've mentioned iron there, and I said, okay, let me bring it that plantain. And then we talk about red meat. This is another issue that has controversy. Now, red meat is that part of the meat that whenever you go to an abattoir or you go to a slaughter, I don't really need to explain it to you. You see that part of the meat that is red? Yes, that is actually red meat. Now, so many people say, red meat is not good, though, red meat is not good. The question is, do we even have the money to buy the red meat that they say is not good? because I think that's the most expensive part of it. When you go to the abattoir or when you go to the slaughter, that's the most expensive part. So red meat is good enough because it contains iron in it. Yes, red meat is good. If you have the money, buy it, but don't consume it in excess. Of course, you know, too much of everything is not good. And then we talk about liver. You know, the liver, but then you have the bracket there that it should be limited. Whenever you are eating liver, it should be limited because it contains enough fiber too. And then leafy greens. Leafy greens, what do we mean by leafy greens? These are those the vegetables that you found around you. You know, most of the vegetables, they are almost green. All of them are green, except for few that are actually, some are purple, you know, and then some of them are not even edible. Some of them, they are not greens. So for iron content, leafy green vegetable, for people that are from Akwa Ibom, and that's the southern part of Nigeria, and people that are from the eastern part of Nigeria, you know what they call okaze, okay? For Akwa Ibom, call it afang, and then because there are also things that call atama. You know, we have every green vegetable that you consume is good enough for you because it contains iron. And then we talk about fortified cereals. Fortified cereals. These fortified cereals, you know, there are those cereals that actually, you know, they have been processed. Unlike, let's say, oatmeal, most of them are processed, and not just the processed aspect. I'm not concerned about the processed aspect. After processing, you can see the word there, fortified. Fortified means that iron content have been added into it. Okay, so let's go to the next one that we have there. Is actually folic acid. Go to folic acid. Go to folic acid. Go to folic acid. The next slide, please. Yes, folic acid is actually known as vitamin B9. Like I said earlier, when you go to the hospital, they conduct some routine checks. Yes, they conduct some routine checks, and then they check your folic acid level. Like I said earlier. Now, for this folic acid, it is actually, don't forget, I'm talking about diet. Actually, a supplement that can be given to you in the hospital by the pharmacist. Yes, the pharmacist can actually prescribe the folic acid to you. Why are they prescribing this to you? I'm going to say that. But then, talking about folic acid can be gotten in both drugs, like I've just mentioned, and then it can be gotten in food. Dietitian, do you mean it? Yes. In food, it is called folate. Folate. It is called folate. I'm not even supposed to put this folic acid here. I'm supposed to put folate because I'm talking about what you are eating. So folic acid is also known as folate, vitamin B9. But then for drugs, it is called, and then for food, it is called folate. So it's still the same thing. But then the question is this: for you to eat folate in food as a drug in the hospital, which of them do you prefer? Okay, but then when you go to the hospital, this is one of the routine checks that they will do. They will check for your folic acid level, and then if you don't have it enough, they are not going to supplement it and give you this folic acid because it prevents neural tube effect. Now, what is neural tube effect? A cow to explain this. Let me use a cow to explain this. You know, when you see a cow moving, I don't know, you check the back. There's one protrusion, you know, that comes like this at the back of a cow. I'm not saying that is a neural tube effect in a cow, but that happens in animal or in human being rather. Deficiency of folic acid that the mother did not take while that child was still in the stomach as a fetus. So they conduct routine checks, and then your folic acid is in place, the level is in place. If not, they can give you as supplement. And then where can you take this folate from? Folic acid. And then these dark green vegetables, like I did not mention cabbage. Yes, I did not mention cabbage. Vegetable that is good enough. Yes, I don't want you add baba. What you're adding is actually you're adding fat to it, which is not actually good enough for your own health and the health of the baby. You know, we try to control fat and then you try to control cholesterol. Put these two things in check. Now the beans, you know, beans, citrus fruit, the citrus family. Citrus are actually oranges, the grapes, and the tangerines. These are citrus. By taking this, they have to check for your glucose level. Yes, they have to check for your glucose level. All of these are what they check in the hospital because they check if they are gestational, diabetic. So the third one there is the second one. So another one there is calcium. Of course, everybody knows that calcium helps with the building of bone. You get build of bones and then the teeth, and then maintain maternal your own bone, not even that of the baby. Maternal bone health there, and then milk that you're supposed to take, and then yogurt. Should I mention the type of yogurt you're supposed to take? Yes. Let me mention them. We have so many yogurts or types in the supermarket. So that what should be my choice of yogurt? The choice of yogurt that you're supposed to take is unsweetened yogurt, plain. Even though you ask those supermarket, tell them to give you a plain yogurt. They are unsweetened. Some of them, when you take it, they don't really have taste. They don't have some of them they taste salty. Some of them they don't have that pleasant taste and sometimes flavor that you are actually expecting. But please, mommies, expectant mommies, that is the type of yogurt that is actually. And plant milk. Yes, fortified plant milk, which is actually milk that are being fortified. If you go to the supermarket, how do you know this type of a milk? They are actually being in the body of those milk. Don't forget, I have said yes, we also have skim milk that are being fortified. Fortification just means there are other nutrients, either macro or micro, that have been added to that particular milk. Vitamin D. The next one there is vitamin D because it helps the absorption of calcium, that calcium that you have taken, and also bone development. And then where can we get this vitamin D from? Of course, you were taught that you take maybe a walk, yes, or you don't stay under the sun for maybe 30 minutes or so. Don't forget that it should be from like 10 and it's good enough. Don't go and stay under the sun by 1 o'clock and then you say you are taking vitamin D. You can actually be taking vitamin Z or vitamin K or vitamin M or vitamin Y. Okay, and then they are also be found in fatty fish. Yeah, in fatty fish and then fortified milk. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. The next slide is iodine. The next slide there is iodine. Why is it important? Iodine supports brain and thyroid development. It helps in the development of the brain by the protein in your stomach and development. The thyroid, that's for the thyroid gland. Yeah, the thyroid glands are being developed whenever you take iodine. And then where can you see iodine? The first place that you can see iodine are seafood. This is yes, any food that actually contains iodine, dietitian, like what? Like fish, like snail, like mackerel. Okay, mackerel is an example of a fish. Like crayfish, the prawns, the shrimps, the crab contain seafood. You can just do seafood pepper soup. Let me call it that way, yeah. Seafood pepper soup, where you have a mixture of your snail, have a mixture of your crab, have a mixture of your crayfish, your prawns, and then you see that you will it, and then you start sweating, meaning you are enjoying yourself. Okay, so iodized salt. For this iodized salt, I don't know how to make. Okay, now let's say for a teaspoon. I'm not talking about the one that the mother used in giving a child food, but don't forget he or she is up to 6 months. I'll have a lecture on that. Now, when a child is 6 months, I'm not talking about that small spoon, though. I'm talking about a teaspoon. Now, a teaspoon of salt for a day, a teaspoon is about 5 grams. So you're not supposed to consume more than a teaspoon. Dietitian, do you mean it? Yes. You're not supposed to a salt that is more than 5 grams per day, which is a level. Okay, let me say a level. Not the one that you scoop it and it's like this. A level. Do you understand? A level of a teaspoon of salt is what you are supposed to take for 1 day. It's compulsory for you to take it, but don't take 2,300 milligrams for a day. You'll be taking iodine salt. That is going to give us iodine. No, at least I've given you the quantity that you're supposed to take for a day. So when you are actually cooking, what if you are cooking? Let's say you are cooking for the family, and this festive season, and then you are cooking for the family. Now you fatty acids. Now, what does this one do? It supports the brain and eye development of still the baby. Now you see that almost all the nutrients I'm talking about, they actually help in the development of the. I've just said is iodine, and then the first thing you see there is support brain and thyroid development. Omega-3 fatty acid, the same thing. It's saying it supports brain and eye development, which means the brain of a baby is very, very important. So should a father blame a mother if the child is not brilliant? That's a question for another day. So let's go ahead. We are talking about fatty fishes. These are the sources of omega-3 fatty acids. And then when we are talking about fatty fishes, there are so many fishes that have fat in them, but then we have a few that can actually be consumed, and some of them contain low mercury. It should be low mercury. An example is mackerel. Yeah, an example is mackerel, and then flaxseed. This flaxseed is not actually environment. Actually found. I don't know if it's found in Nigeria, but here in my own environment, it's not actually found. It's actually this flaxseed is found in a plant that is known as flax. So I don't know if you have that plant in our locality, but it's found outside the country. And then walnuts, you know what is walnut now? And then another nutrient there is vitamin C. Vitamin C enhances the absorption of iron and also aids tissue repair. It helps in the absorption of the iron, that iron that I was talking about. So whenever any food that contains vitamin C that you can eat that will that iron. And then what are they? There are citrus fruits. I've mentioned the citrus family, the oranges, the tangerines and the grapes. All of these are citrus family. So whenever you eat food that actually contains iron, you can actually use this, to actually you take it because it helps in the digestion of that iron that you actually consume. Not just make. Of course, I've cleared that mind that plantain is actually a high carbohydrate giving food. And then we have tomatoes. We have tomatoes. Dietitian, which tomato are you actually talking about? I'm not talking about the processed tomato. I'm talking about the fresh tomato that you don't know that is crossed from the farm. It contains vitamin C. And then the peppers. So the pepper, not saying you should go and put enough pepper in your food. Because some persons they like it like that. But if you don't have any health condition that says you should not eat pepper, you can actually eat it if that's what you want. And then sometimes you actually say eat what you want instead of going into bigger in pregnancy. I'm coming to that. So let's go to dietary fiber. Yeah, dietary fiber. Dietary fiber. Now, this dietary fiber, it prevents constipation. What is constipation, dietitian? Constipation is actually, in a week, you go to toilet less than 3 times. It's not normal. In a week, you are supposed to go to toilet more than 3. But if you go to toilet, let's say Monday, or let's say we start from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, for 7 days, you are going to toilet for 3 times in a week. It's not healthy. And if that happens to you, that's actually constipation. Or whenever you want to go to toilet, you pull hard stool. Your stools are actually hard. Well, that's actually a deficiency in dietary fiber. So what you need to do, you take things that actually contains fiber because it's going to help you. It's going to help you in digestion. Yeah, and it's going to prevent this constipation. And then where are these dietary fiber found? They are found in whole grains. So dietitian, what are whole grains? Whole grains are those cereals that actually, why it is called whole is because there is parts that have been removed. You mean it? Yes. There is no parts that have been removed. There are some grains that when you want to cook it, okay, like let's just take example beans. If you want to, like some person that almost everybody that does akara, they remove, the back. I'm not saying it's bad, because of course if you don't remove that back, it's not going to look nice, and people will not going to buy it from you. So what they do is they remove the back, and then that's the endocardium, and then they take other parts, they mill it, and then they produce whatever they want to produce. So this is an example of a whole grain that you cook it the way it is. The 3 parts of that particular food is there. Let me call it the outside, the middle, and the inside. That's an example of a whole grain. And then the fruits, of course, I've said fruit earlier. You know what is fruit and vegetable. Of course, fruit and vegetables, they work hand in hand. And then the legumes. Now, we are going to talk about water. Water. Please, so that they will tell me what I'm holding in my hand. I want everybody to tell me what I'm holding in my hand. Can anybody see me?
A bottle of water.
A bottle of water. Okay. So this is a very essential, ingredient that you need. Okay. I hope everybody can see me. Can everybody see me? Okay. Let me continue.
Yes, we can see you, Mr. Anthony.
All right. Now, that is a bottle. I'm not promoting this brand. But what I want to show you is water. In case you don't know what is water. Okay, so what's the function of water? It maintains amniotic fluid and increase blood volume. That's the first thing. And I have explained what is this amniotic fluid. This amniotic fluid is the water that is between you and the fetus. Of course, that helps in the maintenance of the temperature of your stomach between you and the food. In there is an importance of water, and it supports increased blood volume. Yes, it helps in the increment of blood volume. Now, safe drinking water soaks fruit with high water content. High water content is actually good enough. Meanwhile, do you know that you're really supposed to drink water whenever you wake up? Yes, you're supposed to drink water because water helps in staying hydrated. So you stay hydrated, your body is hydrated. There is water in your body. There needs to be water in your body, not overhydrated. Now, I'm going to give, if you look at the recommended water intake for pregnant women, you'll see where given I have given the amount that the pregnant woman is supposed to take for a day. 2 to 3 liters of water daily. Dietitian, can I drink this? Yes, you can drink this 2 to 3 liters of water a day. I'm not saying that as soon as you wake up, you go and take water and drink for, let's just say, 1 liter. If you drink 1 liter of water, of course, you know you are pressed wherever you go. You will be, especially if you are wearing trousers, you know what that means. So, but what I'm trying to say is, for a day, make sure you don't drink less than 2 liters in a day. Now, how are you going to drink this? Dietitian, tell me, how am I going to drink this? This is equivalent to 8 to 12 cups of water daily. Have you now seen that I've now broken it down? Maybe in the morning, when I wake up, I can take 2. And then maybe after eating, some persons prefer to drink water while they are eating. Some persons prefer to drink after they've eaten. So whichever way you want, whether when you are eating or after eating, you can take 2. But don't forget, it should not be less than 8. And if you can take it up to 12 cups per day, that's very good. Because I've just said it is good enough for the temperature in your stomach, and then it helps to keep you hydrated. Okay, let's go to the energy needs. Let's go to energy needs. I'm not going to explain more here, but then this is more of what a dietitian to do a pregnant mom. Now, for first trimester, of course, you know that pregnancy is divided into 3 trimesters. First 3 months, second 3 months, and the third 3 months. That is why we call it first trimester, second trimester, and the third trimester. Now, for what we even call this energy needs. Now, this energy needs is the amount of energy that you need to take per day. Now, for the first 3 months, you have seen that you focus on quality. All of this is the quality of food that you are supposed to take. And then that's for the first 3 months. Focus on quality food. Now, when we talk about quality food, we're not talking about expensive foods. No, we're not talking about expensive food. You can actually eat expensive food and then you are eating expensive problem. Yes. So what I'm trying to say is, it is the knowledge that you have about food. I can have a quality food, and another person is having and is eating a quality problem. So what do I mean by that? All of these things that I have mentioned, you try to look at which one your money will take. Let's say, for example, protein. You might not have the money to go and buy the skim milk that I've actually said, because it's a bit more expensive. You might not have the money to go and buy the skim milk, but you have the money to buy crayfish. Is it that expensive? You have the money to buy you have the money to buy snail. You have the money to buy prawn. All of these people produce protein, still give you protein, and it's good enough. So I'm just talking about that focus on quality. So you focus on quality for the first trimester, and then for the second trimester, what is needed is +3 per day. Now, what does this mean? All the food we eat in a day, at the end of the day, they provide all this energy. And of course, energy, they say, is the ability to do work. So what gives this energy is the food that we actually eat. Now, like I said earlier, I'm not going to dwell more on this because this is actually the work of a dietitian to do to the pregnant woman. But what is needed for you to know is that you increase the energy that you are supposed to take. I'm not saying you should increase the number or the amount of food. How are you now going to calculate this? It's not calculate. What you need to do is, let's say you were actually eating a slice of bread. Yes, let's say you're eating a slice of bread, and a slice of bread contains 15 grams carbohydrate. For example, if you want to consume carbohydrate, and they say, and the dietitian says, I should increase my calorie by 300. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean you should go and take 3-4 slices of bread. By the time you take 3-4 slices of bread, for example, so that is like 15 times 3. That's what you are getting for only carbohydrate. So what I'm trying to say here is this. If you are getting 15 grams of carbohydrate for 1 slice of bread, now you look for another food that also has carbohydrate. Example is plantain. You can take a finger of plantain, but then you have increased the calorie. Don't forget that once you have increased the nutrient that you are taking, you have increased the calorie. So you are making sure that you have calorie in your food, but the amount is not bigger than what it should be. Like I said earlier, doesn't mean consuming 2-3 plates of food. Okay, so that's for the second trimester, and then for the third trimester, 450 kilocalories is needed per day. Don't forget the baby grows, the fetus grows. As time goes on, per month, per 3 months, it grows, per day, it grows. So more energy is needed. Okay, so let's go down to how my plate should look. Let's go down to how my plate should look like. Yes. Now, in summary of everything that I said, how should my plate look as a pregnant mother, as a pregnant woman? Now, if you see, most of the things I've said are not here, and that's because this slide, if I put everything here, the slide might be divided into 2. I've included, for example, water is not here, to be here. Here. But this is how your plate should look like. You look at it very well. Right, you have snail, that's protein, and then you look at top right by your left, top right left, we have I think that's tomato or potato, and then you see after that you see where we have fruit inside. If you come down, you are going to see crayfish, with prawn and maybe potato, and then you see that should be pepper, the last one. So that is how your plate should actually look like as a pregnant mother. And then you add, yes, and then you add this. Okay, so let's go down to foods to avoid in pregnancy. When you are pregnant, what are the foods that I'm supposed to avoid as a pregnant woman? Now, this, no matter how you feel like eating them, if not for you, don't consider yourself, consider the fetus inside. Yes, consider the fetus inside of you. No matter how you feel like eating. For some persons, they feel like eating food that are not even non-food items. I'm coming to that. So for number one, we have raw or uncooked meat. Yes, go to where we have foods to avoid in dancing. Thank you. So number one, we have raw or uncooked meat. Some persons feel like eating food that are uncooked. That's actually becoming pregnancy affecting you. But we are coming to that. It's not a taboo. It's just the hormonal change and imbalance in you. And why should you avoid this particular food that I've said? Raw food like the plantain that I've just said is a raw food. You can't just peel it and begin to eat now. You are not animal, though we are higher animal. But then some persons feel like they want to eat. There are some persons even at night. And then uncooked meat, someone can just go to the fridge and open the meat and say, the taste of the smell of the fragrance, the odor of this meat is eating me. Honey, I want to eat. And then honey will look at you like this and say, do you mean it? You say, yes, please, madam, please, because of the sake, for the sake of your baby, please, don't eat uncooked meat. Even fish and eggs, even raw eggs, yes, please don't eat them. Because if you look at what I bracket there, there are risks of infection. And then unpasteurized milk and cheese. Unpasteurized milk and cheese. What do we mean by unpasteurized? Unprocessed milk, raw milk that are taken from cow, and then you feel like drinking them. No, now you should, those kind of things. You need to avoid them because they are actually affecting you and the point. And then we talk about how mercury fish. Yes, I said earlier that I'm going to mention the fish that you're not supposed to take. An example is shark and swordfish. And for them, it's not rare. It's very even expensive. They normally they run or they swim in water as if they are rockets. So it's very difficult to see those kind of fishes actually. And excess caffeine, yes, excess caffeine. Please, I would like them to see what I'm holding in my hands. Please let them see what I'm holding in my hands. I would like everyone to see that. So please, capture me. Let them see what I'm holding in my hand. Is okay. So please, I need a response so that I will know where to go. Have anyone seen what I'm holding in my hand?
I can see it, but I don't know what it is.
You don't know what it is? Okay. Of course, I'm not actually expecting everybody to know what it is. But then, this is actually called Balamo. Is it Balamo? But what I'm trying to say is all the bitters, all the papa bitters, all the mama bitters, all the children bitters, all the bitters and the bitters and the bitters. Please, this is one of those things that contains caffeine. And I'm going to be talking hand in hand with, I'm going to be talking about, I've seen a question there. Please, when it's time for question, you ask me, I'm going to answer you. Thank you. Just keep listening. So all the bitters and the bitters and the bitters and the bitters, please, it is not good because all of these, they contain caffeine, which affects the brain of the child. They contain caffeine, and then they actually, anything that contains caffeine, most of them, 90% of them contains alcohol. So meanwhile, please, apart from the caffeine, there are some teas that contains caffeine. So caffeine is not actually good enough for a mother. Anything that you know contains caffeine, please don't take them. Yes, I know of so many products that contains caffeine, but I wouldn't want to mention them. I feel like you know them. Most of them are teas. most of them are teas. They contain caffeine. So please, when you want to get the products, when you get it, you look at the label, the nutrition label. We call it nutrition facts, or you see where they write nutrition information. Please go through it. If you see anything like CAF, please, that's caffeine. It's not good enough, because caffeine itself, it hinders the absorption of iron. So you not go to the market and buy everything that I've just said, or you buy the one you can afford, and then after taking it, instead of being to help in the production of the red blood cell which produces blood, after eating it, you now go and take alcohol or caffeine, and then this is now going to inhibit the absorption of that iron food that you've just taken. Okay, so the next one is there. Next one there is alcohol. I've just said alcohol, and then recreational drugs. So what are now recreational drugs? Of course, you can see they are harmful to fetal development. Recreational drugs are those drugs that you just take them, you just feel like taking them so that you'll be happy, and then they are happy. Some of them they take it for relaxation. No, you don't need to take them. And then excess salt and processed foods. So what are now processed foods? Processed foods are those foods that when you get to the supermarket, they are packaged and put in packs. You know, most of those are processed foods. So you need to limit the amount of processed food you eat, and then you eat more of natural foods. Yes, you eat more of natural food. Those ones you go to the market, you buy, come prepare them yourself. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Let's go to the next slide. Let's go to the next slide where we talk of pica in pregnancy. Pica in pregnancy, PICA. What is pica in pregnancy? Okay, I've said it earlier. It is crave and consume no. Dietitian, are you serious? Do people crave? Yes. It is not that they're waking Oga up in the night and then you are telling him, Oga, still like eating chop. Chop, that one that they're not using, right?
In our chat box that you should join our antenatal class by clicking the link on our Instagram bio or by sending a DM. So you will be added to the group and you'll be supported accordingly. You'll be able to ask your questions, drop your questions. In fact, there's time I would have read out some of the questions we got on our group this week alone. So it's a very safe space where you can ask your questions and get immediate help. Thank you so much, Ms. Anthony. Thank you for joining everybody. This is the end of the class today. Enjoy the rest of